Steam is going crazy with discounts once again. Right now there are massive deals on fighting games, co-op shooters, horror games, survival titles, and even full franchises selling for almost nothing. There are also a few games you can permanently add to your library at 100% off if you act fast, plus some really solid titles you can try for a limited time. And the best part is, these are not random filler games. These are titles that are actually worth your time, especially at prices like these. So today I've put together another fresh list of the best Steam deals you definitely don't want to miss right now. Right at the start, Mortal Kombat 11 is sitting at a massive 90% off, and honestly, this is one of those deals that almost feels illegal if you're into fighting games. Mortal Kombat 11 still looks incredible, the animations are brutal in the best way possible, and the combat feels super satisfying once you start learning different characters. Whether you're playing casually with friends or trying to actually get good online, there's a lot of content here. The story mode is also surprisingly entertaining, especially if you followed the series for years. And at 90% off, this is easily one of the strongest deals in the video. And next, Skull and Bones at 90% off, and yeah, I know this game had a pretty mixed reputation when it launched, but at this price, it becomes way easier to recommend. If you like pirate games, ship combat, and open world exploration, there's still a lot of fun to be had here. Building up your ship, hunting for resources, fighting enemy fleets, and slowly becoming stronger can actually get pretty addictive. It's definitely one of those games that feels much better when you grab it on a huge discount instead of full price. Up next, the entire Sniper Ghost Warrior franchise is also sitting at 90% off, and if you enjoy slower, tactical shooters, this is a really solid pickup. These games focus heavily on long-range combat, positioning, stealth, and planning your shots carefully. You're not just running into enemies non-stop, you actually have to think about distance, bullet drop, timing, and your surroundings. Some entries are definitely stronger than others, but for these prices it's honestly hard to complain if you enjoy sniper-focused gameplay. And next, NIRO at 90% off, and this one is a bit of a hidden indie pick. It leans more into atmosphere and exploration, with a strange world that slowly opens up as you keep playing. It's one of those games that feels mysterious from the beginning, where you're constantly trying to understand what's happening around you. If you like smaller games that focus more on mood and discovery, this could be a surprisingly interesting find. Up next, Monster Truck Championship at 90% off, and if you've ever wanted a racing game that feels completely different from normal cars, this is actually pretty fun. Instead of clean racing lines and speed-focused tracks, you're controlling huge monster trucks, dealing with weight, momentum, and crazy physics. There are races, freestyle events, and different challenges, and the handling feels much heavier than traditional racing games, which makes it stand out. Before we get into the video, I want to share a tool that will definitely save you money on Steam games. It is called Kraken Keys. If you are tired of overpaying or spending hours hunting for deals, Kraken Keys is a completely free game price comparison platform built specifically for Steam. It automatically scans over 20 legitimate stores, including places like Fanatical and CDKs, to instantly find you the cheapest price available. The best part is that there are absolutely no ads, no cluttered interface, and you do not even need to create an account. You just search for a game and you immediately see the cheapest price. It is incredibly fast and clean. You can easily compare the standard Steam store price against other platforms to see exactly how much you are saving. You even have the option to toggle specific shops on or off, and you can set up custom price alerts so you get notified the second a game drops to your target price. Also, you definitely have to check out their Steam library and wishlist calculators. You just paste your Steam profile URL and it instantly calculates the total value of your library, or shows you exactly how much your entire wishlist would cost at the absolute cheapest prices available across all those stores. Kraken Keys is completely free to use. Start saving money on your games right now by clicking the link in the description below. And next, The Beast Inside at 90% off, and if you enjoy horror games that slowly mess with your head, this one is definitely worth paying attention to. It blends psychological horror with mystery, and the story jumps between two different timelines, which keeps things interesting the whole way through. One moment you're investigating strange events in an isolated house, and the next things become genuinely unsettling in ways you probably won't expect. The atmosphere is really strong here, and instead of non-stop jump scares, the game focuses more on tension and making you constantly feel uncomfortable. Up next, Killing Floor 2 at 90% off, and this is still one of the best co-op shooters you can grab for almost nothing. The entire game is built around surviving waves of enemies with different classes, weapons, and upgrades that completely change how you play. The gunplay still feels fantastic. The action gets really intense once things start escalating, and it's one of those games that becomes way more fun with friends. Even after all these years, it still holds up incredibly well if you just want fast-paced co-op chaos. And next, Deceive Inc at 90% off, and this one honestly deserves more attention because the idea behind it is really clever. It's basically a multiplayer spy game where everyone disguises themselves as NPCs while secretly trying to complete objectives and eliminate each other. The tension comes from never knowing who's an actual player and who's just part of the environment. You'll constantly be second-guessing small movements and weird behavior, which makes every match feel unpredictable. It's one of those multiplayer games that feels genuinely fresh. Up next, Last Inua at 88% off, and this is a much smaller story-driven experience with a really unique atmosphere. The game is inspired by Inuit mythology, and the environments have a calm but emotional feeling to them. It mixes platforming and puzzle solving while telling a story about family and survival, and even though it's not very long, it leaves a surprisingly strong impression if you enjoy quieter games with heart. And next, Steep at 85% off, and this is easily one of the most relaxing open-world sports games you can play. You're skiing, snowboarding, wingsuit flying, and exploring huge snowy mountains however you want. What makes Steep stand out is the freedom. You can just mess around, explore, try crazy stunts, or challenge yourself with different activities. The atmosphere is honestly amazing too, especially when you're just cruising down a mountain with music playing in the background. And next, This War of Mine at 85% off, and this is still one of the most emotional survival games ever made. What makes it so different is that you're not playing as soldiers or heroes. You're controlling ordinary civilians, trying to survive during a war. Every decision matters because resources are limited, people get sick, and sometimes you're forced to make choices that honestly don't feel good at all. Do you risk someone's safety to find food or stay safe and slowly run out of supplies? It's dark, stressful, and incredibly memorable, and it's one of those games that really stays with you after you finish it. Up next, Dino running from a FURRY, GAMESFORFARM at 100% off. And yeah, this title alone probably caught your attention already. This is one of those weird, chaotic indie games that clearly doesn't take itself seriously at all. It leans fully into absurd humor, strange situations, and pure randomness, and honestly, sometimes these are the exact kind of games that end up being surprisingly entertaining just because of how ridiculous everything feels. Since you can claim it at 100% off, there's really no reason not to throw it into your library. And next, Terrors to Unveil, day off also at 100% off, and this one goes in the complete opposite direction with a much darker vibe. It's a horror experience focused on atmosphere, tension, and psychological moments rather than non-stop action. The setting feels uncomfortable in a good way, and if you enjoy smaller horror games that try to create a creepy mood instead of relying only on jump scares, this could be worth adding to your library while it's available. Up next, you can also try Misery for a limited time until May 18th, and this one leans into survival with a much darker atmosphere. The world feels dangerous, resources matter, and there's a constant feeling of tension while exploring. If you enjoy survival games where planning actually matters and every mistake can punish you, this is definitely worth trying while you have the chance. And next, V-Rising is also available to try for a limited time until May 18th, and this is honestly one of the strongest survival games out there right now. You're playing as a vampire, rebuilding your power, building castles, hunting for resources, and fighting massive bosses. The progression feels really satisfying, and the mix of survival, action combat, and base building makes it super addictive once you get into it. Even if you've somehow ignored it until now, this is the perfect chance to see why so many people love it. Up next, GreedFall. The Dying World is available to try for a limited time until May 17th, and if you enjoy RPGs with choices, companions, and world building, this is definitely worth keeping an eye on. Since this is connected to the GreedFall universe, you can expect that same mix of fantasy, politics, exploration, and meaningful decisions. It's a good chance to jump in early, see how the gameplay feels, and decide if it's something you want to follow later. And next, Makeway is also available to try for a limited time until May 18th, and this one honestly looks like pure chaos in the best possible way. Imagine a racing game where players are building the track while racing on it at the same time. Every round becomes completely unpredictable because people keep placing ridiculous obstacles, traps, jumps, and weird turns that can ruin everything in seconds. It's fast, chaotic, and feels like the kind of game that becomes 10 times more fun when you're playing with friends. Up next, Astral Ascent is available to try for a limited time until May 18th, and this is a really strong pick if you enjoy roguelikes with fast combat. The pixel art looks fantastic, combat feels smooth, and there's a lot of variety in how you build your character between runs. Like the best games in the genre, every attempt feels a little different, which makes it very easy to keep saying just one more run for way longer than you planned. And finally, finally, Epic Games actually had a pretty solid surprise this week hidden behind the mystery game reveal, because the giveaways are genuinely worth checking out. Right now you can claim the Telltale Batman Shadows Edition at 100% off, and if you enjoy story-driven games, this is a really good one to add to your library. It takes the classic Batman universe and focuses heavily on choices, dialogue, and detective work with that signature Telltale style, where your decisions shape how events play out. The Shadows Edition also gives the whole game a darker black and white visual style that honestly fits Batman really well. And next, Sunderfolk is also available at 100% off, and this one is actually pretty interesting. If you enjoy co-op adventures and fantasy settings, it mixes strategy, RPG mechanics, and teamwork in a way that feels different from most games. It's definitely one of those titles that's much more fun if you've got friends to play with, and for a full giveaway, it's honestly a really solid pickup. If you found something for yourself, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And seriously, thank you all so much for the support. We've already reached 10,000 subscribers, which honestly means a lot to me. Seeing this channel grow like this has been genuinely amazing, and I really appreciate every single one of you for being here. If you don't want to miss the next Steam deals, stay tuned, because there are always more coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.